The Heather, drop it.
Welcome everyone to the MS Office Hours. It is Thursday, February 27th. Let me please introduce our hosts.
Hi, everybody. I'm the Heather Cox.
Followed by the Stephanie Stevens, who will never say that again.
And we're
yes.
pumped to have you all here. Sorry, it's the end of a week. We're tired. But we're excited to have you here. So as I was saying before we started the recording, but if you've joined us on Club Copilot, you know that Dewayne has shared some amazingness as it relates to Copilot Chat. And we know that everybody having access to Copilot is so important. We've talked a lot about that on MS Office Hours in terms of what things cost. So we're going to focus on our free friend. We like free and education. So Dewayne's going to, if you were on that, you're probably going to see things. If you saw that Club Copilot call, you're going to see some similar things. We're going to go over, the ins and outs, some use cases. But again, we want to thank Dewayne because Dewayne is always very kind when he's voluntold to do something and gives a very respectful yes, boss to me when I ask. So Dewayne, we are going to turn the show over to you.
Thanks, boss. I'm going to do some PowerPoint, which is a little different than normal. But I'll do some screen sharing too, because
I guarantee it's PowerPoint live because
of course.
If Dewayne is ever, just so you guys know, never, ever get on a call and use PowerPoint and not present in PowerPoint live, or I guarantee Dewayne will probably message somebody and say, oh my gosh, it's not PowerPoint live. So just, yes. I'm warning you if you ever have to be on a call with him. Oh, and look at baby face Dewayne on that picture.
It's
and now he's got Dewayne. He's beard Dewayne.
Beard Wayne. Yeah, if you're not using PowerPoint Live, you're doing it wrong. For those who don't know me, my name's Dewayne. I work for Heather. She made me do this today, and I'm here to talk to you about Copilot Chat. I'm a cloud solution architect on Heather's team, which is a part of our Unified offering. If you haven't heard about Unified, you should reach out to your account team and ask them, how can Unified help you today? I used to work in education for a pretty long time, about 18 years. And now that I think about it, I still work in education. I used to work for a K-12 school district, used to work for higher education, public university. But now I'm here at Microsoft. So I guess 20 years of education, it's a hot minute. And I'm going to talk to you about the latest iteration of Copilot. And this is the free Copilot. This is the Copilot that everybody with an intra identity can access. So I'll start there, that a lot of people think that this is requires some specific level of licensing. Do I only get this if I have an A3? No. If you log in to Copilot with an intra ID, you should be redirected to the safe Copilot Chat, previously known as Copilot with Enterprise Data Protection, previously known as Copilot with Commercial Data Protection, previously known as Bing Chat Enterprise. But today it is Copilot Chat. And the reason why it's Copilot Chat, and I don't know why my graphics all messed up, but the reason why it's Copilot Chat is because it does more than it did, a couple months ago. There's a saying that our CEO said, I think this is at Ignite, maybe before that, called Copilot is the UI for AI. And the objective there is that you can go into Copilot and you can ask it a question, and it doesn't necessarily need to be about your work data. It doesn't necessarily need to be about public web searches. It could be an application. It could be a third-party app. It could be a system in your environment that you could say like, hey, give me the latest, update on ticket number 1234, those types of things. And so that is something that is done via agents. Agents are not the topic of today's conversation. That's a whole nother can of worms. But agents are a big part of Copilot Chat. And so later you're going to see some before and afters. So I can prove to you Copilot Chat is new and it looks different. So yes, Copilot Chat brings you, of course, chat. It has GPT-4o and Bing search grounding built into it. What the Bing search grounding gets you is access to current and public information. Large language models are kind of like an encyclopedia. They know what they know at the time that they were published and created. And so if you were to ask it who won the Super Bowl, it might not know that answer to that question because that hadn't happened yet when the game happened. But that wasn't really a game, was it? It was more of a beatdown. Agents also come into play, and you'll see that, as well as IT controls. You have the ability to see and govern what people do with this tool. And we'll talk about that a little bit as well as we move on. Another little breakdown here of it, but I won't make you read it all. So what does enterprise data protection mean? This is a little bit of an older slide. I had to tweak it just a touch, but it still applies. And basically what it meant when we announced Copilot with enterprise data protection back in September of 2024, which if you think about it, wasn't really that long ago. And we've already renamed it since then, but enterprise data protection still applies to Copilot Chat as it did to the prior iteration. And that means that we have now aligned the guardrails and protections that are available in both the paid Microsoft 365 Copilot and the free, everybody already has, Copilot Chat. Search queries still go out to Bing, so I'll call that out before Madam President, gets a hold of me. Search queries still go out to Bing. I will show you what that looks like. Bing's does sit outside of the M365 service boundary, but it's really not as bad as it sounds. So I'll actually show you an example prompt that I have in my lab that I've got teed up for us. There are controls available as well for Copilot Chat. You can use cloud configuration policies. For M365 Copilot, you could also do cloud configuration policies, but M365 Copilot users do have a web toggle. They get to determine if Bing is being accessed. So I have homework for all of you in a prize in the form of a gold star emoji reaction. I did this on Club Copilot, so if you already did it, you don't get to play. But I want all of you, you can click the link on the screen because it's PowerPoint Live. I want you to log into Copilot Chat. I want you to look for the green shield. And if this is old news to you, I'd rather you think about this through the lens of teaching your users. Because if you're a technologist and you're here and you're like, Dewayne, I know this already, please take this delivery as something that you could repeat and give to your users because they need to know this information. This is probably the most important thing that you will teach them when it comes to using Copilot Chat is to look for the green shield. Now, I want you to go one step further. I want you to open up Copilot Chat. I want you to hover over the green shield. And you'll see that it says Enterprise Data Protection applies to this. I want you to click that. It's actually a hyperlink. I want you to click it and paste the link in the chat. So hopefully with 160, don't paste the green shield. There we go. Daniel Miller, he wins. I like it. No, sorry. No.
Alana wins.
Yeah. Okay. I'm working on it. Gold star. There we go. Everybody gets a gold star. Heather, my wonderful boss / assistant for this session, can give everybody a gold star because I won't be able to do it all in the chat because that's a whole lot of links. But the point of this was to show you that the information about what can I do with Copilot Chat, how is it being protected, what does that actually even mean, is literally built into the product. You just got to look for it. I have worked with many customers that did not know that they could do e-discovery against their users using this free tool. They didn't know that they could retain all of the interactions that their users were having with Copilot Chat and use tools to understand what they were using AI for. That is a big deal. So this is what Copilot Chat used to look like before we'll say January 15th was when the announcement was made. The after is like this. And we moved things around a little bit. We changed some icons. We renamed Office while we were at it as well, and called it Microsoft 365 Copilot. But if you go all the way back to the very first slide that I presented to you, it said Copilot is the UI for the AI. And so that's kind of the leading thought here on why these changes are being made. You'll see at the top right, agents are available. So agents are not something that is on by default, that everybody can just start making them and running the bill up. Don't worry. You have to do some administrative work to make agents a part of your environment, but agents are a part of the total vision. We want people to be able to have very specific scoped conversations with agents. And you saw on the first slide, it said, you know, we imagine a Copilot for everybody and an agent for every process. Also, one that I want to point out is the prompt gallery. Down at the bottom where you see it says view prompts. This is going to give you suggested prompts. This is also going to be where you can save your prompts. This is also going to be where you can copy a link to your prompt. So if you've got a super awesome prompt that did something really amazing, and you know, you've got a colleague that also has to do that thing that takes a really long time, and you figured out a way to Copilot it, you know, into taking a few minutes instead of bunches of minutes, you could hyperlink them to that prompt via the prompt gallery. You'll have the ability to upload a file. Right now, I think the limit is 1 megabyte per file, because you've got to remember this is text-based. This is a text engine. This is a large language model. All it needs is text. And I'm going to show you, you know, some things that you could do to kind of work through that. But what this does is this actually just puts the file in the current session. Copilot can see the content from the file. You're basically appending that content to your prompt. Ultimately, the file lands in the user's OneDrive. It doesn't get uploaded to some sketchy cloud thing somewhere and, you know, processed by some third party. It's all stays within the M365 service boundary. That's the overall theme of Copilot Chat, is we want everything to stay in your environment, even the attached files. It has Python. It has the ability to execute Python scripts and does it automatically in the background. You can have it do some pretty intense calculations. You can have it plot visuals and make charts and graphs and stuff like that. So that's a pretty powerful capability as well. And this is the prompt gallery that I was referring to earlier. This is now accessible by all users, whether you're on M365 Copilot, or if you're on the free Copilot Chat, you have access to the prompt gallery. You can click on this. You can see a whole bunch of starter prompts to get you, get your ideas going. More importantly, like I said, you can save your prompts, because if I were to ask all of you to tell me what you currently use to save your prompts, we're going to get a whole lot of different answers. I've got some in a sticky note. I've got some in Notepad, that I haven't saved yet. I've got some that I've messaged myself on Teams. I've got them all over the place. OneNote, Loop, everything. Prompt Gallery gives you one cohesive place that's available directly in the interface of Copilot. You just click on it and there it is. And the ability to share those prompts with your colleagues is really valuable. You should definitely try this. So we'll save a prompt when I get things fired up here and share my screen. I have a prompt I'll give everybody. I'm not going to do it yet, but I'll do it when we actually do the demo. So show your users prompt gallery. There's a short link there for it, aka.ms/prompts as well. There's also a Teams app that's currently rolling out, coming, that would give your users a little bit more exposure to the prompt gallery. But this will be a big part of the strategy, in my opinion, is when you have a really well-defined prompt that you've worked really hard on, it can really display the power of generative AI to someone who's new to it, because prompting is different. We're not going to do a prompting exercise today. We've done that a whole bunch of times and generated a whole lot of pictures of really cute dogs. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you should come to Copilot where we do those things. But prompting is an essential skill that everybody is going to need to learn how to do. And as technologists, a lot of us actually have a little bit of a problem. Something shorts out between our brain and our keyboard, and we start typing in fragmented keywords because we're used to using search engines. So we have to work a little bit harder to get our way, back to using natural human language and talking to AI, because that's what it expects to see. So talk to Copilot like how you would talk to an assistant is what I usually say. And you wouldn't talk to a person in the hallway in fragmented, keywords, right? You would give them the entire context of what you want them to do or what the question that you're asking them. So you need to do the same with Copilot. And when you figure that out, that's called a prompt. And that prompt does something awesome, you should save it. And if that prompt does something awesome for someone else, you should share it. And all of those things can be done through Copilot Prompt Gallery. So I'm going to share my screen, turn off the slides because slides are boring. And we'll move over to my friend Nestor, who some of you have probably met before. So Nestor here, and I'm doing this demo for Madam President. Nestor here, he did a bad thing. No, never mind. That's the wrong chat. Let's go up to one of his previous chats. You also get chat history with the move to Copilot with Enterprise Data Protection, and that's very, very important. Nestor here, he asked a question about a medical patient and listed the condition that the medical patient has. And so there are currently 2 sources of data that Copilot is going to use to answer this question. It's going to use the LLM itself. It's also going to perform a Bing search to understand if there's any current information about this particular situation. Now, there's a chart. Let me pull it up real quick for you on the screen so everybody can see it. Got to remember how to click today. This chart, and I'll also drop this in the chat, is an example of things that you could ask Copilot to do, and when would it determine that it needs to go out to the web, and what would it actually send? Because the way that you format your prompt might influence Copilot to use more of the web, we'll say. And this really mostly applies to M365 Copilot, because Copilot Chat only uses the web. But I'll drop this in the chat for everybody so that you have a copy of it as well. For those of you who are watching the recording, there's the URL. But there's a new capability or new feature, we'll say, in your references, where it actually shows you what did I get to? What website was used to give me this response? And so I've got a few references down here: cancer.gov, uptodate.com, nih.gov. If I click show more, there's some new options. Search. So even though I explained who the patient is, gave their name, gave their condition, and asked a whole lot of other things that I shouldn't have asked, these are the only 3 words that were sent to Bing. Those 3 words are also de-identified, so it's an anonymous Bing search. They're not retained, and they're not used for any kind of training or anything. That's a very big part of enterprise data protection, is your usage is not used to train the foundational models. We are not making Copilot better based off of your usage of it. We are making Copilot better based off of your feedback from it. You have to tell us what you want it to do. But your usage of it, that is a myth that a lot of folks think is, oh, the more I use it, the more it gets to know me. No, that's not accurate. We do not train it or change it. Sorry, words are hard today. However, look at what was sent to Bing. So I think Madam President might be okay with those 3 words going to Bing because there's no identifiable information in there because we do work pretty hard to make sure that nothing like that happens. However, the fine print is Bing is outside of M365. It is a consumer service governed by a different agreement. But there are protections put in place. They're listed on that document that I showed you. So we did 2 Bing searches. We did however you say that word, treatment guidelines. And then we did however you say that word, treatment options. So I guess you could say we sent 4 words over to Bing. You can govern this with a policy. You can turn off web content, but I would say look at the other controls that you have. So we'll talk about a few of them here in just a second. Let's talk about file upload. I want to show you a file that I have. How many of you record your Teams meetings or transcribe your Teams meetings? And if you have Teams Premium or if you have Copilot, it generates a summary for you, and that's amazing. Some of you may feel left out and say, oh, I don't get summaries and I don't have Copilot. I can't ask it questions about it. But you can upload a file to Copilot. You can export the transcript of your Teams meeting as well. In fact, it can be anything. It can be anything that could generate a text file. Now, Teams is going to give you 2 options when you export. It's going to give you the option to do a docx, which will likely exceed 1 megabyte because it includes everybody's profile pictures and fancy stuff that Copilot doesn't need to see. Or you can do a VTT file, which is a subtitle file. So it's just going to show you the actual like time marker, the who, so the when, the who, and the what. So like when did they say it, who said it, and what did they say? All of that is included in that VTT file. You'll see that here. Just rename it to .text and upload it to Copilot. So I'll give you my little super prompt. I call it a super prompt. I got it on LinkedIn, if I'm being honest. I didn't make this. So here you go. I dropped it in the chat. I'll also put it on the screen because thankfully somebody from Club Copilot said, hey, you talked about this awesome prompt, but you didn't actually show what it was, and I want to use it because it sounds really cool. So I'll put it on the screen here as well. I'll grab my paperclip. I will double clicky my text file and notice what it says. We'll send a copy to OneDrive. You're gonna see a folder in your OneDrive that has all these, quote unquote attachments. So again, we're not sending it somewhere else. We're sending it to M365. I'm gonna paste in my prompt. And so for those that are watching on YouTube, well, that doesn't really all fit, but that does. So pause the video, take a screenshot, something like that. Or pro tip, if you use Windows Power Toys, hit Win-Shift-T on your keyboard and it will do an OCR screen capture. And then hit go. So at the end of the day, what the LLM is looking for is text-based input in your commands. So I'm giving it a data source, which is the text file, and I'm giving it a command, and I'm saying, I want you to break down this meeting for me and tell me everything that happened. Now, of course, it can't grab links. So you'll see in that prompt, it says, grab all the hyperlinks. If you're using Copilot in Teams, there are multiple sources of information, not just the transcript. There's also the meeting chat. There are a lot of people that contribute to the meeting and its progression and how it went, but never actually speak. So that is included in M365 Copilot. And also, very recent change, content shared on the screen. So here we only have the transcript, so it's not going to be able to pick up a URL because I can't say a URL with my mouth.
DEFCON IT support tries to help you.
Oh, is somebody having a problem?
Not bad yourself.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad they're doing well. Anyway, I hope they fix it. Whatever. That is.
Yeah. So the ones that are there today,
they're being really persistent. So we have our where was that? URLs. You can't say URLs with your mouth. So it knows that I talked about a web address. It knows that I talked about the roadmap. I talked about the blogs. So it captured that, put that in the summary. So you too could summarize the Teams meeting by uploading a text file to it.
Okay.
You just need to get a
Yep.
hold of the transcript. Wow, that's
So we can,
Here,
that'll
we're
be a
gonna-
separate
boom. There we go. That one, that's a lot. Sorry, everybody. I want to show you something that I want my IT friends to consider. Now, I hope that I've made the point that this is a secure tool. Its entire like core revolves around enterprise data protection. It stays within your tenant. The prompts are stored in your environment. You can govern them. You can retain them. You can do all those things. In fact, like when I say you can retain them, check out what the retention policies in Purview say. Teams chats and Copilot interactions. We are splitting this as well. So Nick, if you're out there, you had the docs for this last time I annoyed somebody about this. But you can soon retain Teams chats and Copilot interactions in 2 different policies or 2 different settings in one policy if you want. So, but yeah, these are all internal. You control this. You as the admin govern this. And so my request to all of you is to consider making a safe AI tool more visible to your end users, because they are using AI. Like we know they're all using AI. But are they using an AI that you govern or you can see? I don't know. You are the only one that can answer that question. But if it were Copilot and you were in the admin center and you clicked on Copilot and you saw our fancy new named Copilot control system, you'll see additional tabs here if you have M365 Copilot licensing in your environment. I'm intentionally showing you a tenant that has no paid M365 Copilot licenses in it. You have the pin Copilot Chat option here. And you can pin Copilot to Teams, to the nav bar of the M365 app and the Office landing page, and as well as an Outlook. You can build awareness. You can make it more present so that your users know this is an approved tool. This is something that I can use, and you should communicate that to your users. So Nestor here, he's in Teams. Did you all notice that I was in Teams when I did that? Or did it just look like a web browser? Because it's pinned to my left rail of my Teams app right here. I can flip back and forth between chats and then jump back over into Copilot. I'm making it really easy for my users. I'm lowering the friction for them to be able to use a tool that we are saying, hopefully, is an approved AI tool with enterprise data protection. It also, like, let's say, you know, sad face, you're not a Teams user. There is the availability of Copilot in Outlook as well. So that is an option for you also. I can get to Copilot here on the app launcher and I can ask it questions and feel good about doing it because I see a green shield. The last thing that I'll cover real quick before we do a couple of questions is I talked about retention policies. Let's see, where else was I at? Don't want to dive into the weeds too far, but there's the data security posture management for AI inside of Purview. Just as proof so that you can see, like, yeah, people are using this, and here I can see what they're doing with it, and I can get alerts on it, and I can understand, like, hey, why are you talking about health stuff there, Nestor? Like, I see you're talking about diseases, like it matched a sensitive information type, and I can see that interaction took place. I can click on it, and I can view more information about it, and I can see the prompt that Nestor sent. This might trigger me to say I need to open a new discovery case and look into this a little bit more and understand what's happening here. Because this is all governed, this is inside the tenant and your controls are applicable. So yeah, there's that prompt that you just saw earlier. There's the websites that I know it reached out and touched that I showed you earlier. So yeah, when we say enterprise data protection, we're not just saying like it's quote unquote safe. We're saying you govern it, you can control it, you can decide what you do with it. I think that pretty much wraps me up. I hope that everybody. Oh well, I'll do one last thing. I want you all to look in your admin center. This is also kind of new. If you're in the home of the admin center and you go to reports and you go to usage, if you look and you're like, we have 80 million users in our environment, 80 million, that's a lot. I have 2 users that are using Copilot Chat. Hopefully you see that as a red flag. So the usage of the tool is available in your usage reports. Again, you're looking at a tenant that has no licensing. So I'm not going to see any usage for M365 Copilot because there's no licenses for it there. But you do get reporting on Copilot Chat. And you can gauge and understand, like, how is my awareness campaign going? Like, did I see a spike in usage because we just did a big webinar about Copilot Chat? And pro tip, if you tell everybody to go log in and the first person to paste a link to EDP gets a gold star, that will make your numbers go up. So thanks everybody for playing along with that game. I appreciate that. But hopefully you go use Copilot Chat now. And hopefully you learn something new.
Well, thank you, Dwayne. Even though I may have forced you to do this, I appreciate you. Velvet has her hand up. Velvet, what can we do for you?
So I've been obviously playing with Copilot more and more and more, getting used to it and getting used to how to prompt write and all that stuff. I'm curious if you guys think that there are plans or maybe in the future of helping. The more detailed your prompt is, the better results, right? But then you have to take so much time writing this beautiful prompt to try to catch all the parameters you need to put into it. It would be kind of neat to see if Copilot, maybe in the future, you write a general prompt and it'll say, oh, it looks like you're asking about research, whatever. Would you like assisted filters? And then maybe it could provide filters that says, okay, maybe you're only wanting stuff for the past 5 years, maybe only things from certain organizations, maybe this and this and that, based off of the theme of the prompt, just to kind of help be more efficient in our prompt writing and to have these considerations of these boundaries or that we should consider.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, almost like the suggested words and suggested replies and things like that. As you use it, it's learning what you in the way that if I go on to type in the search for a person, it knows that I might ping, if I type, DE, it knows that I might be looking for Dwayne because, he and I message a lot. So, that makes a lot of sense, Velvet.
It's kind of like like when you go into a browser search and immediately you can open up tools and says, okay, well, what years do you want to search? You want to search for only copyright images, things like that. And, but yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah,
I think it would be really useful.
I totally glossed over that. I talked about it a lot in the beginning, but I didn't actually demo it. So I know in the last second or two, I wanted to just make sure everybody saw it. If you have a prompt that's awesome, you can hover over it, click the little bookmark icon, give it a name, and save it to your prompt gallery. And then the next time you start, you can click View Prompts, Your Prompts, click it, just put it back in. You can also click View Prompts, Your Prompts, Hyperlink, send it to a friend. So Velvet, when you make that amazing prompt, share it with your colleagues.
Hey, Dwayne, you want to show off the really cool hyperlink update in Teams too while you're at it?
What are you talking about?
Oh, if you take if you have, gosh, darn it. If you have something on your clipboard, go to the chat box in Teams, I guess. And if you highlight text and you paste.
Oh, that didn't work.
Not this isn't Teams.
Oh, stop. Now this is going on YouTube, Nick.
I'm sorry.
We work at Microsoft. Is this Teams?
Yeah. I need somebody to teach me how to use Teams. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's a carryover from Loop and New Outlook is I can type stuff, and then I should be able to hover over it and hit Control V on my keyboard, and it hyperlinked that stuff for me right away, which is a little time saving thing. I do appreciate that.
We need we need a tips and tricks day. Like that's all we do on office hours is tips and tricks.
Those are always
Like,
popular sessions, like your favorite tools. I tried to sprinkle one in there with the OCR.
We're doing it because somebody was talking to me the other day. They were like, we were teasing. They were like, Nick Connon, it might have been you. And they were like, Control C, Control V with like, and I was like, okay, I know how to copy paste.
Yeah,
and then I was like, I was like, how about Control D? And he's like, what? And I'm like, duplicate. Yeah. So so you know what? Like, we're gonna do a tips and tricks day, and we're all gonna come with our favorite tips and tricks, and that's how it's gonna work. But we do have one hand. We'll do the one hand, and then we'll wrap up for today.
Is that
David?
me?
That's you. You're the only one.
So I'm just curious, listening to Velvet's question, because I could have sworn we had someone from Microsoft at a conference back in October, and they were actually talking about improving prompting where Copilot would actually help you with prompting and try to improve. Is that something that is being worked on or coming? But they were also talking about agents. So it may be something that is coming more in agents versus Copilot Chat.
I mean, there is an agent called Prompt Coach, but you can also ask Copilot how to help me improve this prompt. Here's what I'm trying to do. Do you have any ideas? And it's pretty fantastic at writing prompts, which makes sense because it's, it knows how it wants to see things. Another thing that I've had folks do that's really helpful is if you have a long running conversation where you're in the flow of like prompt crafting and or prompt engineering and you're trying to figure something out, at the end of that conversation, ask Copilot, hey, summarize all the things that I told you how to do into one prompt that would have given me this final result in one try. And it will go back through your conversation and merge it all together and give you one prompt, and you can copy that, save it to prompt gallery, those kinds of things.
That's a great idea.
There we go.
Oh yeah.
All right, tips and tricks. It's going to be fun. Join us soon.
Yeah.
Because we don't have Copilot for M365, I just started experimenting the other day with using Copilot Chat to take the transcripts from my Teams meetings and actually getting it to give me notes and stuff from that. And it works pretty good. What's funny is it depends on what transcript you download as to which one it does. Like, it will give you different notes for the Word transcript versus for the VTT transcript because of the way it's formatted. So it was pretty interesting to do that. Now, the one thing, because there's a 1 meg limit on attachments, you can't really use the Word one. You have to take the Word one and change it into text so that it'll actually ingest it.
That's correct. That's why I showed the VTT option, because that's an easy way to get the file size under the 1 meg. But
I apologize. I came in late, so I didn't see you do that.
Oh.
I did that. I was doing that myself the other day.
No worries. All right. Well, we'll get the see this we used to. Okay, so we just had it. Who's down with VTT? When I first started at Microsoft, one of the things we had to do is get people to use the Office suite, and we called it Office Pro Plus, and OPP was our acronym. And so, I mean, that's all we would say. It was like, and then those who know me know that you can get me off track real fast. You just give me like a phrase or something like that, and I'm done. Absolutely done. Somebody said something earlier and I was on another land. I was like, okay, sorry, I'm gonna go sing a song in my head first. I'll talk to you later. All right, everybody. It was great seeing you this week. Thank you, Dewayne. We will be back again next week. We're gonna fit, I would like to fit the tips and tricks in sooner rather than later. Sounds like that would be a fun one. And so we will be doing that. We'll get that scheduled. And so, yeah. Mike, you're thinking Mike Tolfson, but I got you. And yes, he is a tips and tricks kind of guy. He's got that a lot. So awesome, everybody. I'll get this posted so you can share it out, and we will see you soon. I'm gonna kick y'all out. Have a great week.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.